Good evening, podcast world and folks on Facebook Live. Time for another episode of Things My Mother Never Told Me. In case you hadn't noticed, and I hope you had noticed, we've been on a little hiatus trying to work through some things as we work our way back into a regular rotation. Brandis, say hi to the folks.
Hello, folks, and I hope you can hear us this time.
Brandis and I are going to do another one of our current events topics, if you will, or shows. We started out a few minutes ago. We had some technical problems. I would say if you can hear us, well, if you can hear us, let us know you can hear us. How about that? Because this audio has been acting a little funny. What we wanted to do this time around was just get into some things that are going on. But before we do that, I wanted to give a couple shout outs. One of our guest from a couple years ago, a year or so ago, Mr. Phil Lewis, who's one of the editors at the HuffPost. He just received some acknowledgement or recognition from the folks over at Because of Them We Can, and they did a profile on his journalism career, and he was recognized as a voice, one of the voices you can trust or you should listen to when it comes to news in the African American community. So, and he also won the AAMBC Editor of the Year Award for 2003 as well. So shout out to Phil. Mm-hmm. Also, before I move on, he also does a newsletter, a weekly newsletter, and it's called What I'm Reading. If you haven't read it or you don't get it, you should go out and get it. It's What I'm Reading from Phil Lewis. He sends it out in email form. You can get a free subscription or a paid subscription. And I think it's time to upgrade mine to a paid subscription so we can help him out and further his cause of getting that news out to our community. And more recently, we had a young lady on the show. She was recognized as one of the 40 under 40 in African American by the Michigan Chronicle. And that's what I can't look. I done went crazy. What's Cassie's last name? I can't think of her last name. How about that? I went blank. I'll come back with that, and I know what I can do. I ain't crazy. It's right here. It's right here.
I'm just gonna go scroll over and look.
And I still, but anyway, she has a group called Fired Up Ministries, and I can't think of Cassie's last name. Oh my God, that's crazy. But she is one that you wanna. Cassandra Phipps. There we go, Cassandra Phipps. She was recognized as one of the 40 people under 40 in the African American community here in Metro Detroit. So shout out to her as well.
Yes. And she is what found it on YouTube. Season 5. So this season, episode 10, if you want to go back and check out her story, if you perhaps missed it.
Right. So shout out. And there are others, it's funny because a lot of the younger folks, well, everybody younger than us that's been on here, but we've had as guests on our shows, a lot of them have moved on to bigger and better things from what they were doing initially. Mm-hmm. And so shout out to all each and every one of them. It just shows that we got a good eye for talent.
Facts.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say this is accurate.
Right. So
and I also just shared the link for Phil's write-up in the chat as well. So when you get a chance, check that out too.
Cool. All right. So Brandis, we were talking before we came on the air, and you had a couple things that caught your eye this week. Let's get that out there. Get going with it.
Yes. So one of the things that I remember from my childhood, right? First, a teenagehood or whatever you may call it, going to King High School. And that's when I, my mom and my dad started, letting me practice driving. I took driver's training. And I remember the route every day that we took home. When my dad would come pick me up, he would switch spots. He would get in the passenger seat and I would drive home from King every day. And I remember sometimes we went straight up Gratiot, and then there were some days when he took me through the back routes and the scenic route down through Mack and Bewick, and all had to tell me all the good stories. But specifically going across over to Gratiot, I remember over there by Mount Elliott, the Heidelberg Project. Now that was like, seeing it was when I had first been introduced to it. I think I remember it a bit from elementary school, but more so because I went to school, high school over in that area, and people were always talking about it. And it was kind of a whole spectacle, right?
Right.
So today on the news, I seen an article saying that they were laying off like a lot of their staff, and I'm like, laying off staff? They have staffs? Like, this is a whole thing. It wasn't just somebody drawing these big circles and hanging up what to us looked like trash at the time, and these old cars, right, and they were just decorating them. But it's literally since 1986, Tyree Guyton, I think they said when he came home from the military, he had just was like kind of disheartened by what he's seen in his community and where he had grown up and how much it had gone down. So he's like, you know what? My contribution is going to be art, to my neighborhood. So he started the project, and since then they have started like youth leadership and arts academies, and they have a full blown board of directors and staff members, and they really took a hit during the pandemic, much like many up and coming businesses and small businesses and operations, and they had to eventually this year decide that they had to lay off some of their staff members, and they're starting with like the headquarters area that they said that was over on Mount Elliott. And I'll put up for the people who are watching our show just a couple pictures just to go down memory lane a bit. You remember some of those images if you've ever gone down in the neighborhood over there. But yeah, it was really just like, I didn't realize that, much to my ignorance, that they were doing so much outside of just the Dottie Waddy. I think it was called the Dottie Waddy house that was, popular over there, and the big stuffed animals and all that good stuff. So it says that they have had free programs and need-based programs and have served more than 475 students since 2018. And they usually are helped by like grants and funding that they get to be able to help these young people throughout the communities. They do work in schools across Detroit, focusing on arts, media literacy, and career training.
Okay.
So yeah, hopefully there's something that can, for now or eventually in the future, have them come back and we can see them, back on the rise doing the work that they do. It's always hard when you hear that people have to, be laid off or lose their jobs and things of that nature. So,
right. I'm like you. I did not know that that was a business, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, I remember when if I'm not mistaken, a few years back, they talked about tearing down the original project.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was the end of all of that when that happened.
Mm-hmm. Nope. Yeah, that's what it said too. I was like, oh wow, that was like the Coleman Young era. That would have been Archer, and there were complaints coming in, and people, in the area were like, what is this? This is trash. Somebody is defacing the community.
Right.
Like at the time, this don't look pleasing to us. What's happening in my neighborhood? I'm like, thinking back, if I had been living in that area, I for sure could imagine my father being like, he is over here with this trash. My daddy, probably knowing him, would have went over there and took the stuff down. But yeah, they said that, this was back in 1991 and 99. They ordered demolitions of some of the properties back then. So it was like a big thing. People were reporting it. There were some fires. They had like 12 fires.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Property. So yeah, it was a whole thing.
Hey, Carlos, how you doing? Cherry, how you doing? Yeah, I mean, look, they say one man's trash is another man's treasure.
Yeah,
and I'm telling you, I'm rolling with trash.
Mm-hmm.
I never thought that was, and I was an art student, but I guess I was just a different type of taste palette, if you will, because that was not. Yeah, that's right, Carlos. He said Mr. Bull definitely would have had a conversation with them. I mean, I didn't get it.
Yeah.
I mean, but then once it proved to be such a popular thing because they had a nice legal battle about that, and it wound up actually after going through the court system saving the area.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
my mom or Cheryl put in there, it's funny how we Black people see it as an eyesore, but I remember going there in the crowds or different people visiting the project. Yes, it drew so much, attention to the city. People were coming from near and far to see it. So that is 100% true.
Right. Well, you know what? That's an example, perfect example of how people from outside our community sometimes appreciate things more than we do.
Yeah.
And
yes, actually,
right.
With most things, right? We get jaded. We see it every day, or we're so used to it, we become accustomed to it, that we kind of overlook the value or importance or beauty of things.
Right.
So that
right.
serves as a reminder to not get so comfy.
Yeah. So I sorry to hear that. Like you were saying, we don't ever want to see someone lose their job, and the fact that it was able to be a business that has been around for quite a while.
Yeah.
Now that
I'm like 86 again. I was like, dang, 86. I mean, again, I had felt like it was the early 90s when it was talked about when it came to me, to be paying attention to, news and information. So, but it had started, sometime before that.
Right. Okay. Well, I got something. I know you had another thing too.
Okay.
And I tried to dig up my information, my data on this, and I can't find it, but I can just do the overview of what I was reading a few weeks ago, a couple months maybe, down in the South, Mississippi, Alabama, they're about the same when it comes to certain things. There was a small town 80% Black, and they had for years they had this one guy, I guess he had been 5 years, maybe 10 years, the mayor. And before him, somebody was in there 10, 15 years, and before him. And as it turns out, these folks never had an election for mayor.
Mm.
What they had was a group of folks who were probably related to each other, friends with each other, who were passing on the mayorship to each other. Well, this one guy, he was a volunteer fireman in the area, and he realized that they did have on their books where you could run for the office of mayor and for city council. So he went to and announced his intention to run, and he talked to the current mayor, who gave him some false information about how to get the petition to run.
Mm-hmm.
And so they sent him, if I'm not mistaken, did he have to go to North Carolina? But anyway, they gave him an improper ballot. He eventually tracked down the right ballot and submitted the information to the court to run for mayor. Meanwhile, the incumbent did not submit any petition to run for mayor, nor did the people on city council to run for council. And so they had the election, and the courts ruled that this guy was the only one who was qualified to be mayor because he's the only one that submitted a petition to run for mayor. After he becomes mayor, they refused to give him, well, first they wouldn't give him any information. Hey, Sharon, how you doing? They wouldn't give him any information or access to the financial records or the city records that were in City Hall. And so he went and had the locks changed so he could get in. And then they went and had the locks changed back.
Oh, wow.
and then the guy who claimed to still be mayor, him and some of his friends had so nobody ran for council. So then, per their constitution, charter, whatever, the new mayor appointed a city council. He went to African Americans and white residents alike, asking did they want to be on council, and all the white residents said no. So he appointed a Black council. They locked all of them out. They didn't give him access to, like I said, any financial data, so he couldn't perform his duties. He didn't have access to the checkbook. I mean, it's like a whole crazy thing where they locked him out of City Hall, literally locked him out of City Hall. They went and had a secret meeting, and in that secret meeting, they held an election at the secret meeting and voted themselves back in.
All righty, man.
And so the gentleman, like I said earlier, he was a fireman. And it got to the point that he was receiving death threats. He would go, there would be a fire, if a black house was on fire. When he would go try to go to the fire, none of the other firemen would go with him.
Would be there. Oh,
right.
Wow.
He had to get help from neighboring cities with fires if it was a black house, African-American residence home or business that was on fire. Now, mind you, this city is 80% African-American. This mess has been going on for almost, as the story goes, 3 years.
Wow.
And so he expressed his desire that he's going to run again for mayor. And I guess we'll let the people talk. But it was funny. It was like residents who were his friends who quit talking to him. Just crazy, because some, it goes back to this whole thing where people think they have a birthright to something. And they were trying to say that you could not run for this office. It wasn't an elected position. But in fact it was, and they refused. So, it's just crazy. I wish I could have found my paperwork to give you some more in-depth stuff in it, but that's the outline of it. And it just goes to show you that here we are. What year is this? 2023. And this kind of stuff is still going on. For sure in the South, hopefully not up here. But
some versions of it.
Yeah, some version of it. But that was, to me, I found that as crazy as could be. Brandise, what else you have?
The other story that I had, which I found not super surprising anymore, because I want to say, what's this, 23? So maybe 5 or so years ago, my thoughts around this started reframing. Because I myself had moved back home in 2018, just because I saw like my credit wasn't like what I wanted it to be, trying to be, a young woman in the world, purchase things that I wanted to purchase, looking toward the future. If I wanted to buy a home, everybody always talks about it's a nightmare when you try to go get a car and all this stuff. So I was like, I didn't have crazy debt, but I had like student loan stuff on there, and in college, a couple of credit cards that I got from them giving out t-shirts and signing you up on there. And I was like, you know what? I want to get this together. So graciously enough, my parents let me come back home, and I was able to save money. And at the time I was working a really good job. I was driving all the way back and forth from Detroit to Auburn Hills every day, going back and forth to work. But what I was able to save and then, help myself out of, at the time, the debt that I had, and repair, my credit. I was like, why isn't this like the thing that everybody's doing? Like, why is this so kind of like, I don't want to say taboo, but it's, you moving out on your own or finding your own, it's kind of like this rite of passage, right? But this article was saying that these days, about 23 million or 45% of all Americans ages 18 to 29 are starting to move back home and live with their families. And these kind of numbers are mirroring what they saw in the 1940s, when it was more likely for women to remain at home until marriage. And then men were also staying at home because the farms and all this stuff was happening in the Great Depression.
Right.
So the survey that they took included 4,016 Americans. And they just said more people are, graduating college and not immediately jumping out into, these expensive cities where the cost of living is so high. They're already under student loan debt. And it's just like, yeah, no, I'm going to be this great engineer in tech, and I'm going to stay at home in the basement or in my old childhood room, and I'm going to nurture my career and work. And then when I feel like I'm ready, then I'm going to move out. And I was like, this makes sense. Like, this isn't far off from what I feel like if it is the norm now, what it should have been, back then. But I just felt like growing up, that's your rite of passage, right? For some people, it was like you either going to work, going to school, or you got to get out my house kind of thing in some families. And I'm happy that wasn't, what I saw around me in my house. It was just like, hey, okay, if you feel like you can do it, by all means, I'm not going to, stop you from having that experience.
Right.
But yeah, at 35, I probably still a knock on the door. Like, you know what? If all hope was lost, please take me back in. And I feel like they would. The article was even talking about a TikTok trend where people are recording themselves and going viral and making videos of them doing their careers in their childhood homes with like memorabilia from when they were kids. The posters are still on the wall. And it's just a whole thing. Like, they're turning it into a whole thing. And I was like, kudos to them. Like, I mean, I wish I could, if I had a platform, you're listening, anybody, or somebody, a young person, right? By all means, yes, I'm here for it. I am 100% here for it.
Right. Yeah, there's a couple articles out here. One, I'm on the site Parenting for Brain. The title is "Why So Many Young People Are Cutting Off Their Parents." And then this site is about reconciliation. But there are others, nextavenue.org, why are adult children cutting ties with their parents? GreatSeniorLiving.com, grown children who ignore their parents, and vice versa.
Yeah, no, we need each other. My goal, like I said, at this age, if I could find a home that was big enough for us all to have our own spaces, not be, you got your room, you can put a refrigerator, you would never have to come out and see me, except in passing, or maybe we'll schedule family dinners once a week or something to sit down and eat as a group. But why not? Like, why not pool our money together? When I think about what people are paying in mortgage or rent, putting that money together and buying a very nice size home in a very great area, that's just more appealing to me these days.
Right. Well, if you look at, like, right now, just say right now, in 2023, and let's go back to 2022, for a young person just starting out, unless you got one of those career, degrees where you would have afforded you the ability to slide right into one of those nice high-paying jobs, it is ridiculous out here trying to afford a place to stay.
Yes.
It is ridiculous. I mean, the interest rates went up first. Well, to take that back, the housing prices went up first. Because it became a seller's market, and so houses that were being sold for ridiculous, or they were asking ridiculous amounts of money for houses,
and getting
it. Right. I mean, it was a bloodbath. A house go on the market, and some folks
couldn't even get a bid in quick enough.
The first person to get them in there, they just going in offering $5,000-$10,000 over asking price.
Over the asking, yeah.
And and I know, because we were out there, looking around. And then the interest rate started skyrocketing. And so you got these houses, a house that ain't worth, I looked at some of it, it ain't worth it, but they got ridiculous
square footage, it's outdated, it's.
Right. And Carlos, the rent is crazy. What you would have paid, a place that you get tonight today, it would, 5 years ago, 3 years ago, this same place would have cost you $500-$600 less than what it's costing now to rent. And to buy a house, you talking $30,000-$40,000 more, and with them high interest rates on top of it, it just doesn't make any sense. And God forbid you move in an area with an association. I'm seeing these association fees $400-$500 a month. Now my daughter's paying, I think she said they're paying $100 and some a year for their association fee, and they're in Illinois, in Southern Illinois. So it's ridiculous. And so if you got a house that your young folks can still, it's still big enough for you, because usually when you guys move out or you get to college, we still there. So it's still got room for other people. I don't see the problem with you staying there. Now now, you might want to chip in a little bit.
Yeah, right. 100%. Please contribute somewhere. We'll take the groceries. You'll cover this, cover that.
Right. So,
yeah.
But at least share the wealth. I mean, that's the only way we're going to really deal with this craziness that's going on out here. And it appears, could be me just making the stuff up. It could be just my mind playing tricks on me. But it appears that there are certain folks
who's already doing that.
Well, there were people doing that. They always have. A lot of immigrants from the Middle East and areas like that have come over, and they have shared, rent with each other until they can make
family, it. Yeah.
Right.
Two families in a house, three families for real.
But it appears that a certain segment of the financial population wants to keep it that way until they can get themselves in a position where they are in total control again.
Yeah.
And then when they get there, I've noticed these trends when Republicans are in office, that certain businesses tend to change stuff. It still favors the rich, but the middle class, I guess, aren't hurt as much, if you can say that.
It's not as obvious. Yeah. We don't, it's not glaring at you for the some, some people notice it, right? But others who just wouldn't like, oh, I'm still afloat. I still can manage, or, doing it. But it's really like, you don't see that interest is tearing you up on the back end. 5-6 years ago, you wouldn't, that wouldn't look like that for you. So.
Right. And the stock market crashes. Well, I shouldn't say crash, but it was like the stock market's been going through a thing for a minute. I remember when I first retired, my little 401k, if you will, at my job, I was drawing from it, but the interest that I was accruing was more than what I was drawing from it. So even though I was drawing from it on a monthly basis, my money was still going up.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like I was taking. It didn't look like I was taking money out of it. It looked like I was putting money in.
Still adding to it. Yeah.
Right. So I don't know. You got a solution for it?
We gotta live within our means, guys.
We got to figure out what that is.
Well, there's that too. But some of these means, I know that I ain't living within.
Right. Look, we do over at the church on the third Wednesday every month. We do a partnership with Forgotten Harvest, or we do a food distribution. And normally the biggest crowds are always around Christmas, Thanksgiving, days like the holidays, where we eat.
These days?
Yeah. That's where we had the biggest crowd, the biggest people coming out for this food stuff. And today we had one of those crowds that was similar to those crowds, where the people were lined up well around a couple blocks. And, one of the reasons, I guess, because it's coming on the end of the summer, but another reason is that people are hurting for basic foods. We don't necessarily give away top notch.
Yeah, but the essentials that
we get stuff that people can use and people need, so we able to give those things away. And they're, this is one of we were out of stuff. We supposed to go from 2 to 4. 3 o'clock, everything was gone except for milk. That's the only thing that was left. So people are needing something. And if I can get some free food or some free staples, then why not?
Yeah, why not?
Make my little check go just a little further. What else? You got anything else, Brandis, on that?
No, that was it on that one.
Okay. I was looking at Phil's page, and he's got he actually went down through the country and was talking about things that are going on. I wanted to find one this where is it? I was just looking. Oh, here's in Massachusetts. Well, no, we'll go to that later. In Nevada, a Las Vegas rapper was accused of murdering a man and then writing a song about it.
So I heard of this a couple weeks ago or last week.
Yeah.
Literally led him right to him, the details about the case. He's rapping, and that's how they put it, matched him with it, right?
Right. He's been so he murdered lives in Henderson, Nevada. He accused of murdering a man, then wrote a song about it, arrested, let's see, charged open murder with a deadly weapon, violation of probation, being held without bail as of Tuesday evening. This is the allegation. On September 18th, 2021, officers responded to a call of a man being shot in the head near Lake Mead Boulevard. They found the victim. It's an alleged victim. You got a guy laying here with a gunshot wound to the head, and he's an alleged victim.
Alleged. Yeah, maybe you shot yourself and maybe you messed up. I don't. So we just got to keep it, fair.
Right. He was pronounced dead on the scene. Witnesses told police they saw a black man fleeing from the area in an unknown white vehicle at the time of the shooting. They told police they believe he wasn't the intended victim of the shooting, but did not know who the shooter was. A month later, one of the same witnesses came forward and said they had more information, but did not want to be labeled a snitch.
Oh, of course.
Lord have mercy. Us and this snitching stuff. On July 17th, 2023. So at least he waited 2 years.
Oh.
A detective observed a YouTube video posted by the biggest fan 4800 titled Fade Free and included the lyrics. I'll be the reason why he's dead. We still taunt him when he died, not the reason he's dead. So celebrate the reason is why his mama cried.
Yeah, I remember that line. Yeah, that's the one I read. Absurd, right? This mentality that, like, y'all don't see RICO happening every day. Like, you don't see these very popular rappers who are arrested and are still in trials and still trying to get off, and you got ones acting crazy, trying to pretend to be mentally disturbed, thinking that's gonna help them get off. And people are still like, oh, free speech. It's so free. It is so free. Yeah, right. Okay.
Yep, it's free.
See how free you are when they tie you to something that you have done and you think you want to rap about it and publicize it or celebrate it and put it out there. Okay, we shall see.
Yeah, right. And
like these people on probation, you can't have a gun. Don't do this. Don't be seen doing any strange stuff. And they get on Instagram with the money stack on next to their ears, and they put the guns in their laps and knowing they're not supposed to be around any, all this stuff. It's like, come on, y'all.
Right. And and I know you saw the story about the woman who got hit in the face with the brick.
Yes. I didn't read or listen to the whole interview or whatever I was like, oh God, I can't.
In Texas.
But yeah, I seen her face and it was very.
She said it's because the guy tried to speak to her and she wouldn't speak to him.
Now, I mean, I know stories. I have heard some strange stories of men who do not like rejection in that way. Like, you don't embarrass me. You don't put me on Front Street. You know what I'm saying? I've been where I've like, here's my number, because they're going to call you while you're standing there.
Right.
And you don't know what emotional state they are in, what mental state they are in, and you're just trying to get away and go in peace. You don't want to be on Crime News and a D tomorrow because these people are aggressive. Like,
right. So you can't give them the right number and then block them.
Block them later, yeah. And I hate blocking and all that crazy stuff. It's just like you got to get me there, but
right. I mean, the bottom line is right. The bottom line is gentlemen. If she don't want to be bothered, she don't want to be bothered. How about that?
How dare you not want to be bothered by God's gift?
Leanne said, if you don't like to miss, don't shoot the shot.
Now that's good. They thinking, well, if I don't shoot, then I can't miss. So, I may not, however, but you don't take the shot, you'll never know.
Yeah.
Buddy, if you're not sure, you're gonna make it.
But I mean, but really, that's this where we at now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Goodness gracious. Because somebody don't want to talk to you.
Scary times. That rejection can be triggering.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be on the receiving end of the triggering. So
yeah, well, I mean
313-33. As I'm backing up slowly, trying to open the car door, pop the locks, please, let's go.
Yeah, yeah. And people have just lost their ever-loving minds. I saw another story on the news where this gentleman had drove two things. One, in Dearborn, this guy had a G-Wagon. They were coming out of a restaurant, and guy came up to carjack him, shot and killed him. And then another one, this gentleman, they had a video. It was in his garage. He was driving, I forget what kind of expensive car. He was coming home from somewhere, and people. And here's the thing, folks: if you're out there driving, and you ain't got to have an expensive car, you just got to have a car. And folks out here trying to follow you because people trying to take what's yours. Keep your eye and be aware. Be aware of, because I mean, it's easy to find out if you drive and look in your rearview mirrors, and if it looks like a car has been behind you
too
long, make a turn.
It might be
to see. Just make a turn that ain't your normal turn and just see, because you got to pay attention. So this guy, when he got into his driveway, these guys came running in with masks on their face and jumped him, trying to take his car. Now he fought like crazy. It was on video.
I bet.
Yeah, on this video, and he fought like crazy, but they eventually took the car and drove off with it.
They left him alive, right?
They left him alive, though.
Okay.
They left him alive. I don't necessarily think they had guns.
Okay.
Because he was an older gentleman. I think that they just figured, and they wound up arresting one of them a couple days, maybe the next day, a couple days later.
Okay.
They arrested him at this chop shop. So
yeah, they just figured they can overpower him. Yeah.
Right. Well, he fought hard. It took a while to overpower him, but you got to be careful, because it's a lot of people out here that are
preying on you not paying attention, to preying on you appearing vulnerable, right? All this kind of stuff. Even the phone scammers, and I don't know how many times my mom, I got this email to say I got to order something strange, right? That whole thing in itself. It's like they are praying to get people any way they can. If they not out here on foot trying to rob and steal, they online scamming and trying to get you to enter your information or give your social security number or open some phishing mail, and now they got all access to your stuff. So yeah.
Right. Yeah, well, yeah, in that case, it's real simple. Did you order something from somebody?
Yeah, that's
and if you didn't,
are you expecting something?
Right. If you didn't, stop. And even if you did, how about, they tell you do not respond to that, but close it and then go directly in on yourself and see, because they trying to be slick.
Yeah, they slick. They all kind of slick. They text you. Here's your tracking, and I'm like, tracking for what?
Yeah.
Why am I getting a text about some tracking? I have ordered things, but nobody's texting me the tracking information for real.
Right.
Or it's all on a shop app where, that app is legit and I know all of my orders are in there and I can see. But yeah.
Right. They send you the email with regarding RE : whatever. So automatically you say, oh, this is regarding an order that I had placed.
Yeah, that's a good one. Check if you are like leery or wondering, if you hover over the sender, the from, and just look at the actual email address, it'd be some weird email.email@com or some weird something. So yeah, they ain't that smart, but they try. They certainly try, and they do get people. So.
They get people. People just too quick to. So two things we would be remiss if we didn't talk about briefly. I'll talk about the good one first.
Okay.
Prime in the house. Coach Prime in the house.
Oh, yeah. He turning Colorado into an HBCU, they say. Everybody trying to get in.
Everybody trying to get in there. We can play at a Power 5 conference and get a chance. and I'll just say this. More power to him.
Mm-hmm.
And more power to them young men that he's taking there and they're getting eyes put on them.
Yep.
Which is something that's needed. And it appears from all that I've seen is that he genuinely cares about each and every one of them.
Yeah. And
so all he's asking for is a little effort. So kudos to Deion Sanders and the crew. Yeah. You know, they got a rough schedule coming up. So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I caught like the tail end of the last couple games. I'm a bandwagon fan. My eyes are just watching to see what's what.
Ooh. Well, that last game was something else.
Oh, that was a good one. I was like, this is late. I'm up. My eyes hurt, but I'm gonna keep watching.
Right. Well, yeah, they got another couple highly ranked teams that they're getting ready to face the next 2 games. And they still have University of Southern California, who's top 10 school, top 5, I think. So they got a rough schedule, and we would be foolish to think they won't lose this year, but we hope they don't.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We hope they don't. They've been resilient every step of the way.
Hey, that's it. Because them teams done lost before. So
right. So I mean, hey, they won 1 game last year before he got there, and 2 the year before.
So
what's his record right now? 3-0. 3-0.
Oh, 3. Okay.
3-0. So he's already better this year, or as good this year
than what they've been. The program has been doing in the last couple of years.
Right. So kudos to them. The other story, Coach Tucker at Michigan State.
Oh, see, that one I didn't read. I kind of glanced through the article and I was like, I can't. I don't know what decisions we're making these days.
And they got some legal experts out there, and he's saying, he being railroaded, and they've created a problem for themselves by the way they're going about it, because the key is they definitely had causation reasons but everybody talking about due process. So, okay, go through the due process. But so the story goes, for those that don't know, is that he brought this young lady in who was I don't know, was a sexual assault survivor or whatever, but she went through that to come in and speak to the football team and, of course, other programs at the university about how to deal with sexual harassment and those type of incidents. And so they said, the story goes, he and her struck up a friendship, and he's talking to her on the phone, and he's pleasuring himself. Now, there's only one way she could know that he was doing that. He had to let her know. Right? He had to let her know. And they were having a conversation. So she comes back and says that he was having this, she was being sexually harassed on the phone. He didn't deny doing it. He said it was consensual. Here's the rub. You're a married man with kids. Now he says, what we do in our private time is our private business. But my man, you got $80 million left on your contract. $80 million. Have you not been watching the news lately?
There's a whole movement out here, and you didn't think to be careful at all.
Right.
To not even teeter the line or get close to it. Nothing. I would have been nowhere near it.
Right. Because he said it was consensual. Deshaun Watson said he ain't do it. Bill Cosby, he said he did it, but they came there wanting it. Deshaun Watson lost his. They kicked him out the league for over a year, really, because he's deferred when they first kicked him out. Then he had to serve a suspension. Now, for him, it kind of worked out because it did work out because he came back and signed a guaranteed contract, $240 million, I think. So he getting his money.
Okay.
But his skills have greatly diminished, it would appear, because time away from football for a quarterback, especially with his skill set, is not a good thing. But nevertheless, your name has been totally associated with these nefarious deeds.
Mm-hmm.
I was reading the dictionary before we came on there.
Nefarious.
So, have you not been paying attention to the news media? The thing about it is that unless it's like explicitly, this is what we doing explicitly, because the fact that you're doing it over the phone makes it kind of crazy anyway. Y'all need to be careful what y'all out here doing. Come on now. And there are others whose careers, lives are totally ruined because while you may think it's consensual, maybe she changed, even if it was, maybe she changed her mind.
Mm-hmm.
And after what she's been through.
That's what I was going next with this. Like, I wouldn't have even been nearby.
No.
They told us, you, what is it? One bad apple spoiled the whole bunch. Like, you don't want to be among it. You don't want to be, I don't want my name tarnished just because I'm hanging out. I don't want to be by it because somebody could easily say they saw Brandise doing it because I was with the people, you know what I'm saying? All these things. So I would think, and I guess people, mindset maybe in that moment or whatever the case may be, that's not what he was thinking. But the fact that you brought her in to speak regarding this, flag number one, right? It's just,
well,
find somebody else, cheat somewhere else if that's what's going on.
Well, she's considered a contract employee. So now we fall back under the Ume Udoka situation with Boston Celtics.
Yeah.
We fall into that situation. She's a subordinate of yours. So with his situation, it was totally above board from the standpoint where he wasn't married, he was just dating.
Yeah.
But supposedly a committed relationship. But it's a totally above board. Everybody consensual in it. But then it got to a point where it wasn't no more. And I've seen this happen where it's consensual until somebody finds out about it.
Nice.
It ain't consensual no more.
I ain't say yes to that, or I wasn't. Yeah.
Right. So why would you put yourself in that situation?
In a position to be here, to be
where we are right now.
Yeah.
And in every case, the guy lost his job, whether she was lying or not.
Mm-hmm.
He lost his job.
Yeah, and optics. We don't want to be, again, they are dissociating themselves with the very appearance of whatever you have going on. Because maybe you did get away or you were innocent or whatever, but we don't want it.
We don't want it.
People looking at us now that this is what we do, who we hire.
And we talking about millions, tens of millions of dollars.
Whew. I'm sure it's somebody out there who wanted to for free and wouldn't have said nothing.
Wouldn't have said nothing. Wouldn't have said nothing.
Who gonna say something?
I got a suggestion. If you want to do that kind of stuff, I got a suggestion for you. Have your lawyer draw up some papers.
Make them sign it.
Make them sign it.
Before you go in.
Of course, some folks will say they was forced to sign.
Oh man, now you just be at peace with your wife. Is at this point.
Right. I mean, because they could easily use the way he's my superior.
Yeah.
So I felt I would lose my whatever if I didn't.
Mm-hmm. Anything, yeah.
Anything. So find you something else to do. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Find you something else to do. Oh, it was God. I can't. My email is acting. It's acting real crazy. I wanted to. Brandise, you got something else?
No, that was it. Those were the two I had.
Okay, there was I wanted to do a real quick acknowledgement, if you will. Over the last 3-4 years, I guess, when it comes to the entertainment area for Black folks, I'm trying to pull this up because y'all know who got email address. Y'all know how email is. When you want it, it ain't there.
That's facts.
There have
I've
been
looking for some stuff lately, and I'd be like, now I know I get this coupon from them every month. Now I go to look for it and can't find it.
right. Oh, they say Tiana Taylor and they mind separated.
Oh yeah.
Why I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I wasn't either. But the fact that you have to come out and make a statement because people are speculating based on what his actions are in the public, or now I wouldn't say even the public, because somebody else that he was hanging out with, one of the females, was releasing stuff online. So again, y'all got to pick better people y'all doing this stuff with, because people don't know how to shut up and be quiet and let bedroom stuff or private stuff be private.
Right.
Everybody wants some fame and to be seen.
Yeah. So what I was looking at is that the number of African Americans, entertainers, celebrities, or whatever, who have been passing away. I don't know this woman's name. Her name is Irish Grinstead.
Oh yeah, 702.
702. I heard of 702, but I don't. She looks fairly young.
Yeah, I think it was 43 or something. They said
she looked younger than that. But yeah, in that neighborhood. She just passed away September 16th. But then this Mike Williams, former NFL receiver for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, he had suffered he was out of the NFL. He suffered a severe trauma at a construction site. And so he just passed away. Another young guy, Brandon Hunter, played in the NBA for a minute. 42 years old. He passed away. He had played for the Boston Celtics, Orlando Magic. He was playing overseas, played out of Ohio University in the MAC. This guy, Bill Pickney, first Black American to sail around the world solo via the Capes, died at the age of 87. Ron Cephas Jones, the actor, played William Hill on This Is Us, passed away. Clarence Avant, known as the Black Godfather for the entertainment world, passed away. Don't know this guy, rapper named Magoo. Up Jumps the Boogie and Love to Love You. He passed away. Willie Perry Jr., y'all know him as DJ Casper of the Casper Slide fame.
Yeah.
Passed away fairly recently. And this attorney, professor, equal justice, legal rights activist Charles Ogletree passed away August 4th at the age of 70. This one, I'm looking at her picture. She looks fairly young. New Jersey Lieutenant Governor Sheila Oliver. She served as the state's lieutenant governor for 5 years, starting January 2018. Passed away. And the list goes on and on. And it's amazing me the number of football players, basketball players, former and current, did pass away. This one guy, he was 46 years old, played for Pittsburgh. The young rappers, Ray Lewis III, Ray Lewis's son, 28 years old, passed away. So there's been a lot. John Beasley, you don't know who he is, do you, by name, do you? John Beasley, he was in the Mighty Ducks, Losing Isaiah. He played in the movie Rudy, Firestarter, Little Big League, Summer All Fears. Played on Broadway. He passed away. He was 79 years old.
Oh wow, I do his face now.
Yeah, when you see his face, those who don't know his by name, when you see his face, you know exactly who he is. He's been in quite a few.
One of them daddies, TV daddies, movie dads.
Right. Larry Gator Rivers, one of the Harlem Globetrotters, passed away. And it's just, the list goes on and on and on. Tina Turner, Jim Brown, Tori Bowie. That's crazy because she was young. She was 32. Harry Belafonte. It's amazing how many of our young Black entertainers are passing away. And it's like, it used to be, you know, when I was young, they used to say they deaths came in threes. When celebrities died, it would be like African American would be three. When Caucasian celebrities died, it would be three. Nah, they just dying.
Yeah.
You can't even keep track of them. So many of them dying. I was going to do on my show a tribute to the Black musicians that had passed, but I said there's too many names to try to type all those names in and run them across the screen.
Yeah.
And it's like every year, because I'm telling you, it used to be you would hear about if it was a bad year, 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Now you 40, 50.
Easy
in a year.
Those in memoriam or in whatever at the Grammys, and when they do those, I'm like, child, you would never get through all them names.
Right, because for those who jazz fans, Ahmad Jamal. For comedy and media fans, Howell Wayans, who was the father of the Wayans families, of the Wayans brothers and all those. It's like Willis Reed, of course, New York basketball legend. Lance Riddick, you know what that is?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Right. Most currently of what's the well, from The Wire, but what's the series? John Wick.
Oh, okay.
He played the guy who managed the hotel that Wick always went to.
Yes.
Yeah. So
I think they killed him in this recent one.
They killed him off in one when they was going back getting rid of all the people that helped John Wick.
Yeah.
And so they killed him off. There's the other guy, Felton Spencer, he NBA player. He was 55. Otis Taylor, NFL player, former. Wayne Shorter, jazz legend. I mean, it just goes on and on. And I'm down to like in the 30s now of people that died. Stanley Wilson, NFL player. He actually played for the Lions for a hot minute. So it's like, and the whole point of that is that death is one thing that's guaranteed in life, and that's death.
Yeah.
It's the one thing that's guaranteed. Everybody gonna get to share in that. So we need to reach out and share and stay in touch with the ones we love, because you just don't know. Just don't know. And so, like I said, I'll go back to what I started. Phil Lewis, from what I'm reading, former guest, he keeps up with the news that's going on in our community worldwide. What he does, he goes out and he gathers the stuff together, and he posts it in his newsletter, his weekly newsletter, to share information on things that you might be interesting to us and stuff that we need to know. We really need to know. So reach out, and if you can reach out to me, you can email me at drdixon33@gmail.com, and I will give me your and then you give me your email address, and I'll send the link to his site. It's a subscription site, a subscription email. He does free subscription. He's requesting that if you kind of see it in your heart to upgrade to a paid subscription to help him with defray the cost of what he's doing, but he's providing good information.
Mm-hmm.
That list
I have the free one right now, so yes, I'll look into that.
The subscription over the email, the list of celebrities that I just gave you, that came from blackamericaweb.com. And you can also subscribe to them. They send you what they do.
Still around? Wow.
They're still around. They're still around. They are not in the capacity they were before.
Okay.
But they're still around. Yep, I still get stuff from them every week, maybe twice a week. So it's information out there. We need to keep abreast of what's going on in our community, in the world at large, just so we know what's what. And like I said, he gave a list of he does it in his newsletter, a list of different states and what's happening, because we need to know. we need to know that some of the stuff that's going on with these districts that they drawing, that the courts are striking down these districts because of the gerrymandering they're doing. They're putting African American voters at a disadvantage.
Mm-hmm.
They're instead of having 2 and 3 districts where you can have a say in who gets elected, they're putting all of them in the same district. So there's only one district, right? Where
one person that they've been running.
Well, the sad part is
the
sad part, like here in Michigan, the districts that encompass Detroit and Southfield and those areas, they were separate districts. And then some of the Grosse Points and Dearborn, and they morphed them into one district. So you had 3 people who were now vying for one position. So last year, the last election cycle, not all, but the majority of the people who ran for Congress
mm-hmm.
were running against each other, all in one district.
Yeah.
So you wind up losing voices that you had out there speaking for you. Yeah. So we need to, sites like emails or newsletters or whatever you want to call it that Phil's doing. We need those kind of sources so we can stay in the know, where we can be at least aware of what's going on, and then have opportunity to have a say so and how it plays out, and not complain about it afterwards, which we're real good at that.
Mastered.
Yeah, that's what we do best. Anything else, Brandise?
Nope, that's it. That's it for me.
All righty. So with that being said, we're going to get up out of here, be out your way. Enjoy the rest of your week. We'll be back.
Peace.
Peace.